Chapter 15. Taking Sides. Everything seemed to be going downhill in my life, and sometimes the littlest things can make matters even worse. We had a bright young science teacher called Mr. Schumacher. I hadn't been in the school that long, but already I knew that he would have all sorts of discussions at the end of a class which didn't have anything to do with the topic of the day, but which were to make us link science to other things in our life, ask questions about things which we took for granted. So he had asked the question, how did wild animals come to be linked to everyday things? For example, how did a bear become a plaything, a teddy bear? I think this is what made bear stand out and started the meanness. Of course, I think mean students have to be bored out of their skulls as well as have low self-esteem, according to Sister. First, Chuck, otherwise known as Chunky Bear, had not gone to Seattle after all. And secondly, I should definitely know how it started because I was in the schoolyard. Simply Red had just come through the big double doors at the front of the school building. I waved so she could see me. Chunky Bear was walking across the yard, head down, as he often did. He was about to pass a group of boys when somebody tripped him, I'm sure. I don't know how I know that, but I know. He stumbled, but he did not fall down. There was laughter from the boys. Somebody said, Chunky Bear, more clumsy than ever. Somebody else said, wow, aren't bears supposed to be hibernating soon? He's asleep. More laughter. Another voice said, in a tone which totally mimicked Mr. Schumacher's, except that Mr. Schumacher would never have said anything like this. The question is, students, is a bear a wild animal or a toy? There must be a missing link. Aha! The missing link is Chunky Bear. The boys were now laughing so hard that they were holding on to each other for support. I know girls can laugh at silly things, but boys being silly surpasses anything we could ever do. Suddenly, Chuck turned around and went at one of the boys with all his force. He got him in the middle, and the boy, taken by surprise, was on the ground. Chuck was on top of him. The other boys, after a moment of disbelief, joined the group. I couldn't see if they were trying to separate them or if they were attacking Chuck. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw Simply Red appear to leap from the top of the steps as if she were going to fly, and then she seemed to be transported right across the yard as if her feet never touched the ground. She hurled herself into the mass of flying legs and fists. Students came running from all corners of the schoolyard, swirling around madly, like leaves picked up in a whirlwind, and suddenly dropped abruptly. Fight! Fight! They chanted. I stood rooted to the spot, and then I too flew towards the group. If Simply Red needed to save Chuck, then I needed to save them. They were my friends. By the time I reached the huddle of bodies, I was crying, not knowing what to do. For a split second, I saw a misplaced flying punch coming my way. Then suddenly, I was pulled backwards and out of harm's way by unknown arms. A boy's voice, in an unmistakable African-American drawl, said, "Whoa, Island Princess, you're in America now. This is not a race, this is a fight. Your island one love isn't going to work here, mon." The last sentence was said in that fluid Caribbean accent used by people who cannot, no matter how they try, reproduce our accent. I whirled around to confront him. Then his words sunk in. This is not a race, this is a fight. I had never in my life been in a fight. Granny had said, always walk away from trouble, girl. If there is a disturbance, some people like to run to see what is happening. Walk in the opposite direction. Trouble has a way of catching the innocent bystander. And then horror struck. I had almost been in a fight. I mean, I may not have been fighting, but I had almost fallen into a fight. How could this happen to me? Never, never in a million years could this happen. My first thought was that I could get deported. I could see the newspaper headline, Jamaican teenager involved in fight in schoolyard, deported. The second was the shame. The shame. Mom, Granny, I wanted to be invisible. Tears were streaming down my face. I could feel my heart beating in my chest, beating in my head, beating in my ears. I couldn't breathe. Maybe I was dying. That was the last thing I remember. The next thing I was aware of was that I was sitting on some steps and somebody was making me breathe into a paper bag. I pulled back my head and looked around. I was seated between Latoya, the girl who had shown me around school on the first day I arrived at school, and a Hispanic girl with golden streaks in her long black hair. She sat next to Latoya in class. The Hispanic girl was speaking. Yes, seriously, I told you, Latoya. You should take this crazy Caribbean girl under your wing. Leave her with Simply Red and Chucky Bear is just irresponsible. Latoya replied, Yes, Esperanza, my friend. Seriously. But what do we do with her now? We have to hide her so she doesn't get deported. What had I said? They were both chuckling, but it didn't seem to be unkind. I felt the blood rush to my face with embarrassment. Obviously, I had said something about being deported in front of the entire school. I wanted to tell them I didn't care about being sent home. It was just a shame. I would never, ever live down the shame, but I said nothing. The voice, which had stopped my foolish headlong flight towards disaster and saved me, now spoke. They're just teasing you, Island Princess. I knew immediately that this was now going to be my name. But you have to be more careful, Mon. This isn't the islands. This is the big city. Keep away from everything till you know more. He was smiling, but I could see the concern behind his deep brown eyes. His head was closely shaved, shiny, rich chocolate brown, just like some of the boys at home, where it was also the style. He was in my class too, but I didn't even know his name. I tried to be as gracious as I could under the circumstances. I said thanks. Then I asked about Simply Red and Chuck. I don't know about Simply Red. Chunky Bear is in the principal's office along with the other boys, the boy said. Shouldn't I be there too? I asked tentatively. Why? 3 voices said in unison, each face registering different degrees of surprise. Well, I was going to help them. I was an eyewitness. Esperanza and Latoya moved their heads from side to side like dancers from some Asian country. Latoya said, Seriously? I didn't hear the principal ask for any eyewitness. Did you? I'm just saying. Her comment sounded a little bit sarcastic. Esperanza shook her head, saying, No, my friend, I did not. Seriously. The boy said, The whole school is an eyewitness. If the principal wants an eyewitness, he'll send for them. The main players, Chunky Bear, Mario, and Trevor, are all talking to the principal, and he gave a twirling dance step, sort of cool, as if he was really introducing the main players on the stage. It went down like everybody saw it, he continued. Nobody is denying anything. Chunky Bear attacked one of the boys. Stupid. That boy tumbled onto another boy. The 2 of them turned on Chunky Bear. Not fair. Simply Red went to rescue Chunky Bear Even more stupid, he said all this while continuing to do his twirling steps. But they were teasing him, I said defiantly, and I think one of them tripped him. What? Said Latoya and Esperanza together. They looked at me in disbelief. Whoa, what you say? Added the boy, his face creased in a worried frown. You didn't see that, Island Princess. I think I did, I replied with my chin in the air. You a seriously alarming girl, I'm just saying, Latoya declared. Alarming, yes. Seriously, added Esperanza. The boy sighed, a long sigh that seemed as if he had dragged it from the depths of his chest, and said, Talk to your mother before you decide to become a voluntary eyewitness is all I'm saying. He looked at me, the corners of his mouth turned up, his eyes sending warning messages. I narrowed my eyes, looked away, and closed my lips tightly. He suggested the girls go with me to see I got home safely. They were both about to make excuses, I could tell, but they changed their minds. I collected my school bag, which had been way across the yard where I suppose I had dropped it when I went flying to the rescue. I walked a couple blocks glumly, not listening to Latoya and Esperanza as they talked about who knows what, going over and over in my mind. What would I have done at home? No use. There would not have been a fight in my school. What should I have done here? Stayed on one side of the schoolyard and bawled for help? What should I do next? Present myself as an eyewitness? Had one of the boys really tripped Chuck as I thought? Take care of yourself now, girl, said Latoya with a little shake of her head as I made them know we had reached my steps. And talk to your mamacita, as added Esperanza. Yes, seriously. They walked away, arms intertwined, carefree friends. Oh, how I envied them. I missed Trisha. I needed a friend so badly. Was I a real friend to Simply Red? I had just walked away without checking on her. I would never have left Trisha. But then Trisha was my best friend from grade 4. Quite a different thing. Now I had to tell Mom. I dreaded that. Maybe she'd send me home, I thought with a little lift to my heart. That lasted only a mini moment. Telling Mom was not going to be good.